So a so-called final voicemail pops up online and the comments go feral. Diddy heard it and lost it.
When you look at Big Murray, do you believe he came to LA too soon after Tupac got killed?
I don't know the temperature, but I can give my opinion. And the reason why I say I don't know the temperature because I was already in the county jail. But from what I hear from different people talking, people talking, people talk in prison, people talk on the streets, people run their mouth. And if it's true, I can't say if it was too soon for him to come to LA or they came to LA because they wanted to. I was told that he wasn't ready to come to LA. I was told that Puffy pretty much made him come to LA. And that puzzles me because the rumor has it that all the different rivals involved.
That's the claim. Sounds explosive, sure, but here's the catch. No legit outlet has confirmed that recording. No chain of custody, no context, just a fragment floating through the algorithm dressed up like a smoking gun, and yet it lands because it taps the oldest nerve in this story. The idea that Biggie left one last clue and that it points straight at the man who built Bad Boy. People want that twist so badly they can taste it. So the clip spreads, the whispers grow, and suddenly we're treating reposts like evidence. Let's not. If something actually changes everything, it usually comes with receipts, not watermarked screen records and captions in all caps. Still, the idea of a final message is powerful for a reason. It drags us back to one night, one corner, one set of mistakes you can't rewind.
The music world is numb today, stunned by the violent death of gangster rapper Notorious B.I.G. The tragedy happened here outside of the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, where the rapper, also known as Biggie Smalls, was attending a Vibe magazine party for the Soul Train Awards. Now, shortly after midnight Saturday, Notorious B.I.G. left the party and got into his car when another car rolled by and shots rang out. At least 5 bullets ripped through the door, killing B.I.G., who was sitting in the passenger seat. Dozens of heavily armed cops arrived on the scene as word of the shooting spread. The bullet holes in Biggie's vehicle are mute testimony to the gang-style drive-by shooting that took the life of the Brooklyn-born rapper, whose real name is Christopher Wallace. Smalls was rushed in his bullet-riddled vehicle to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Dozens of fans, many overcome with grief, held a vigil at the hospital.
They've got a number of individuals that they're speaking to right now, and we're hopeful that we can resolve this matter relatively soon.
These are pictures of the 24-year-old Biggie at the Vibe party just hours before he was killed. Eerie images of a man who had no idea of the violent fate awaiting him.
So before we crown any leak, the grand reveal, let's ground ourselves in what's real, what happened, where and how the timeline actually unfolded, because the night itself was messy enough without myth. March 9th, 1997, Vibe's after party at the Peterson Automotive Museum in LA. Biggie leaves just after midnight, slides into the passenger seat of an SUV, and they roll toward Fairfax, traffic lights, music low. Then a car pulls up, windows down, bursts of gunfire, chaos in seconds. He's rushed to Cedars-Sinai, but he doesn't make it. Fans flood the hospital, detectives swarm the scene. The SUV is pocked with holes, the street taped off, and the rumor machine kicks on before the sun's even up. No arrests, no weapon recovered, no clean motive everyone can agree on. That's the part people hate, the vacuum, because when police don't fill it, the internet will. And that vacuum is exactly why every new tape and secret witness lands like a meteor.
I know I made the call and had a conversation. If you doing security, if you retire police, or if you still a cop, you're gonna have your firearm on you. And if you didn't even have a principal or what you was doing security for, you're gonna have your firearm on you to protect yourself first. Now if you doing security for Tupac, the best artists in the business ever. The most controversial, the most loudest, the more aggressive, and you're not gonna have your gun on you. I say that, and I look at that, and I say, wow. Then I look at the situation. Like I said, I was in jail, but the situation, how they say it went down with Biggie, I feel bad for Puffy. He in that motherfucker cell cold, hungry as a motherfucker, bored, probably nervous, but at the same time, unless he was totally against Biggie, I feel his pain. And I'm not saying he against Biggie, but I think that according to the conversations and what people say, what people tell me, I was not there. I couldn't see what happened, but the fact that I feel bad for Puffy because this your man right there.
So if the night is the anchor, the fuel came earlier, coast, cruise, and a pile of grudges that wouldn't burn out. Now before the shots in LA, the story was already running hot. Mid-90s hip-hop split into zip codes, Bad Boy holding down New York, Death Row flexing in LA. Then came that 1994 New York studio ambush on Pac. He walked out hurt and convinced the other side knew more than they said. He put names in lyrics, lit the match with Hit 'em Up, and made it personal. Music, money, marriages, all fair game. Meanwhile, crews around both camps treated rap beef like it came with street bylaws. Every radio jab felt like a challenge. Every rumor stacked on the last one. Big keeps dropping records. Pac won't let up. And the talk stops being about charts and starts sounding like territory. So when Pac is gone in 96 and Big is killed 6 months later, people stitch the two tragedies together like they were chapter 1 and chapter 2 of the same plan. That's the frame a lot of fans still use. But was there a mastermind or a mess? Next up, the detective who says the puzzle was solved, just never prosecuted. So, meet Greg Kading, a former LAPD detective who spent years reworking the case and came away with a blunt take. It's solved, just never taken to court. His storyline goes like this. After Pac's murder, a retaliation order moves from a jail visiting room to the street. A trusted go-between carries messages. Money gets arranged, and a South LA hitter, Wardle Poochie Faust, allegedly pulls up outside the Peterson and fires. No arrest, no trial, and later the alleged shooter is gone, which leaves the whole thing stuck in limbo, detailed on paper, thin in court. Kading's version sticks because it explains what the official case never did: motive, method, names. It also leans on interviews, recorded statements, and a timeline that snaps together a little too neatly for some. Supporters say it's the cleanest map we've got. Critics say it's still a map without a destination. No convictions, no cross exams, no jury. So is that the answer? Maybe it's the closest organized answer. But even if you buy it, there's a reason the public keeps circling back to one name. Fair or not, the spotlight slides off Suge and lands on Diddy.
How you feel about the people that say Biggie was asking for him coming to LA so soon after Tupac got killed, and him getting on the radio rapping Long Kiss Goodnight?
Man, you get 100 people in the room, and out of the 100 people, probably 3 would say it was all right for Big to be in LA. 97% of those people would say he had no business in LA at that time. We all knew that. Why would Puff rent studio time? Come on, man, look. You gotta look at what people do, man. You know Pac just got killed. It ain't no kind of business Big was doing. Big couldn't even walk. He couldn't run. They was pushing him around in a wheelchair, brother. Why the hell would you rent studio time in LA for him to finish your album when in fact you got your own studio, Daddy's house? Let's keep it a buck. Let's stop this bullshit, man. Let's stop doing these interviews, man, about this shit. Because people ain't getting it. He did not want the beef with the Crips. Puff ain't want the beef with the Dog Pound, Snoop them or whatever. Big started that beef. You understand what I'm saying?
Contracts, control, and the whispers that Big was planning moves of his own. And that's where the theories get loud. Now here's where rumor and receipts part ways. For years, fans have said Big was gearing up to split from Bad Boy, chasing a cleaner deal and more control. If true, that would rattle any boss's nerves. But that's the key word, if. We don't have signed paperwork that says he was walking out, only anecdotes and secondhand chatter. Then you've got internet claims from ex-staffers and industry insiders saying Diddy pushed, plotted, or worse. Some even pulled Jay-Z into the story. Again, stories, no sworn testimony tying any of that to the murder, no verified money trail, no prosecutor putting that version in front of a jury.
Jay-Z and Puffy wanted Biggie killed. Bottom line. You don't have to believe me, believe the facts. Here's a man that wanted to leave Bad Boy. He wanted to do his own thing. He mentioned several times how he was tired of being used and abused, that he was bigger than Bad Boy itself. Somebody, and we ain't gonna call no more names, dangled a bogus contract in front of his face so he would leave the company. How I know I was there. Another thing, Jay-Z wanted him out of the industry, period, so he could take over and be the biggest hip-hop artist around. And I wonder who's the biggest hip-hop artist today. It's all business, folks. And unfortunately, you as a fan, most of you won't understand, but it was all about the business. And the two billionaires have done what they seeded to do. I was offered $30,000 to perform a hit on Biggie Smalls. March 1st of 1997, I was approached by Diddy to perform a hit on one of his artists. Finding out that he wanted all the rights to all his catalogs. I turned him down because I also found out that very night that Biggie had plans of leaving Bad Boy. Biggie should have never been in California to promote an album with a broken fibula bone, who can barely walk, to go to another studio when Diddy has his own studio in New York. And Suge Knight or Amir, they took the blame for something that was already getting ready to be in motion. It just happened at an earlier time. Because on the 9th, Biggie was taken out. And I'm so glad to this day that I refused to do that. So under investigations and working and cooperating with FBI, my story is being told. There's so much more that we're going to talk about with Diddy.
Why do these theories stick? Because they explain the pieces people already believe: power, pride, and a star who'd outgrown the cage. And because another theory, Suga's camp ordering a hit, doesn't scratch the itch for those who want the mentor to be the villain. So we end up with two lanes: the Kading lane, retaliation, jailhouse orders, a shooter who's no longer alive, and the Diddy lane, motive by speculation, heavy on vibes, light on evidence. Until someone shows hard proof, The second lane stays exactly that, talk. Still, Diddy's recent courtroom drama changed how people feel about his name, even if it's a different case entirely. A jury heard ugly details, a hotel hallway video resurfaced, and the word cover-up stopped sounding like just a hashtag. And that brings us to what a court actually decided, not about Biggie, but about Diddy's conduct years later. Fast forward to the case that put Diddy under a microscope, not for Biggie, but for a pattern the feds say stretches years. In that room, the mood shifts from gossip to exhibits. Jurors watch a hotel hallway video, a towel, an elevator area, a burst of violence you can't explain away with PR. The defense pushes back, relationships were consensual, messy isn't criminal, and prosecutors are stacking stories to look like a system. The prosecution answers with a paper trail, phone logs, and insiders who say there was more than chaos. There was coordination. That's why the clip matters. Not because it solves Biggie's case, it doesn't, but because it dents the image of a man who's always controlled the room, and once that image cracks, every old rumor feels brand new. Still, courtrooms run on evidence, not vibes, so the question becomes, who paid whom, for what, and why? Which is exactly where the story goes next. To a hotel office, a frantic set of calls, and a cash drop that was supposed to make the problem disappear, but didn't. And here's the part that made the room go silent. A hotel security supervisor says he took a call, then a meeting, then watched a money counter chew through stacks until it blinked $100,000. The goal? Make a hallway video disappear. He describes frantic outreach, a chief of staff in the mix, and a hush-hush NDA. Sign here, don't ask questions, walk away. According to his account, the cash came in a brown bag, the paperwork got signed fast, and the footage vanished from the hotel records. And yet somehow, a year later, the world saw clips anyway. That doesn't solve Biggie's case, but it wrecks the image Diddy's relied on. The guy who keeps receipts and keeps control. You can argue intent all day, avoiding bad press versus burying evidence. But either way, the optics are brutal. And once people see that, old theories stop sounding like gossip and start feeling possible. Still, possibility isn't proof, which brings us to the only honest ending this story has for now. So, finally, here's the straight answer. Biggie's murder is still unsolved. Kiting's timeline gives a clean motive and a likely trigger man, but it never hit a courtroom. The Diddy angle lives on message boards and podcasts, heavy on theory, light on receipts. That final voicemail? Eye-catching, unverified, and yet people keep circling back because the emotions never cooled. Two legends gone months apart. Power, money, ego. It all feels like a plot, even if the proof never shows. So where does that leave us? With a divide. On one side, a theory backed by interviews and files that never faced a jury. On the other, a pile of suspicions about a mogul whose recent legal mess shattered his Teflon image, but has nothing concrete tying him to that night outside the Peterson. Maybe a real answer is still buried in somebody's notes. Maybe it never existed. Until we see hard evidence, names sworn in, timelines tested, we're choosing stories. And the hardest part, admitting that mystery, not a twist ending, might be all this case gives us.